You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
September 21st, 2024. If it's 7 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's time for This Week in Waukesha. I'm your host, the unsinkable Don Brown, and I'm joined by the mighty Max Martinson on the board. How are you, Max? Put her there, buddy.
I am doing fantastic.
Right.
I was not prepared
no
for that.
worries, no worries. Yeah, I like to spring that on him sometimes, but he's there. And Max and I, are coming to you live and local from the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown here in downtown, right around the corner from Theodore Yeomans Park, where we are proud to honor our suffragette heritage here in the Shaw. And in this crucial election season where our democracy hangs in the balance, it is good to be reminded of Theodore Yeomans' legacy of great trailblazing women in Wisconsin. And today that tradition continues as exemplified by our three guests. Denise Watrous, photographer, entrepreneur, downtown business owner. How are you, Denise? Good. Talk a little closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Excellent. And then Denise has brought two of her clients, 2024's Miss Wisconsin, Mandi Genord.
Hello, nice to be here.
And the 2024 Miss Wisconsin teen,
Hello.
Ella Bey. Is that right, or Bey?
Bey.
Ella Bey. All right. Thank you, Ella. And we're going to talk a lot about their success. These are some very impressive young women, Denise included.
Well, thank
you. In this segment, or in this show, of course, we'll be having some very lively discussions with the three here. And then we're acting locally, thinking globally with Mary Jane Sanchez is going to talk about National Hispanic Heritage Month. Go, Janie. And we're going to talk about Waukesha North celebrating its 50th anniversary and a big honor for one of their coaches, a national honor, if you will. We'll also shout out for Waukesha South National Merit semifinalists. We'll have the Carol Minute, and hopefully we'll have some football scores for you. But first and foremost, our guests. We will start... Well, real quickly with Denise, how long has Denise Watrous Photography been in business?
A very long time. I'll just say I started in the photography industry. We'll just say the year 1988 because it sounds.
I was a junior in
years.
college in 1988, so
I was actually in high school. So I've owned my own business in Waukesha since about 1999.
Wow,
so a long time.
Another long-time business owner. Fantastic. Yes. Terrific. And you're not just any special photographer. You're like photographer of the stars. Is that fair to say?
Well,
with
a little bit, yes.
Our guests here, and they both nod yes.
Confirm that, yes.
Yep. And I remember when I first met you, were telling me that you also did some work with the Manning family, Peyton, Eli, and Archie, and the rest.
Yes, I have photographed. I haven't photographed Eli, just Peyton, and Archie.
Sounds great.
But Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Wow.
Jim Abbott, the incredible baseball player.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice, a bunch of times.
Oh, wow.
One of the greatest humans.
That is quite a resume.
So
awesome.
And then these ladies.
And then these young ladies. And we'll start with Miss Wisconsin, Mandi Genord, a native of Beaver Dam, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And your, I guess, the theme or the cause you're promoting was called Connecting Lives, Adoption Resources and Advocacy. And I really look forward to talking about that as a big advocate for adoption and making it affordable and accessible here in America. A fourth-generation classically trained dancer.
I am, yes.
A volunteer dance instructor with arts in autism. A graduate of, and this should really raise some sparks, a University of Alabama.
Yes, roll tide. Please be nice to me today.
And triple majored in dance, political science, and communications, and wants to attend law school to become a family attorney.
Yes, yeah.
Very
all
cool.
Sounds great,
so,
yeah.
A lot of follow-up questions on that. And then her fellow, shall we say, royalty, Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin teen. Your cause is Special Times, Special Friends, which connects adults with people with or anybody with people with disabilities.
Yes.
And I think that's amazing. When she won the award, she was a sophomore. I just like saying that because I'm a big college football fan. And now a junior at the prestigious Catholic Memorial High School. And I don't know if I mentioned you're from Pewaukee, and she wants to be a pediatric physical occupational therapist, as well as continue with. She's a dancer and an interior designer, a contemporary dancer, and she performed in the contest a self choreographed contemporary version of "Stay" at the Miss Wisconsin Teen competition. Now, was that the "Stay" by Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs, or is that a different song altogether?
No.
Okay. I was thinking, "Stay." Just a little bit. Well, you'll have to come up with one for that. So I'm from the old school. So, well, terrific. So, I guess let's start from the beginning. Denise, how did you get connected with these very talented young ladies?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have been involved in pageantry forever.
Okay.
Literally almost my whole life. I competed in pageants. I competed in the Miss America organization in Illinois.
Okay.
America's National Teenager in Illinois, where
Wow.
I'm from. Sorry.
Where in Illinois are you from again?
Outside of Chicago.
Sure.
Like Mandy's
Where
an
was-
Alabama fan. I'm a Bears fan. I'm sorry.
Well, I lived in Chicagoland for 15 years. That's why I'm curious. Like, what burb or area or neighborhood?
Okay, so my husband and I are from a very, very small town about 45 miles outside of Chicago called Gilbert's, which
Gilbert's. I never heard. Wow.
it's 4 miles west of Elgin, if you know where Elgin
I
is.
know where Elgin is. Okay. All right.
So,
Neat.
real tiny town.
Yeah.
So I was always involved in pageantry. My oldest daughter was Miss Wisconsin National Teenager, which was a really big teen pageant back
Yeah.
then.
Sure.
So we've just always been, it's part of my life. So the co-director of Miss Wisconsin now was my very first Miss Wisconsin in 2006, Megan Coffey DeMoore.
Wow.
So she was a baton twirler. She was one of my daughter's coaches.
Neat. So you've got
Been
a
around.
really long history with the pageants
I
then
do.
here,
I do.
as clients too. So,
Correct. Yes.
Wow. That's
so I'm
amazing.
the official sponsor of Miss Wisconsin. So
Wow. Okay.
when they win, they're mine.
And her photos are beautiful. I don't know if you've seen them, but
I
they're
have.
gorgeous.
You know, I do a lot of work over at Mary Jane's office next door there, and so I've seen some of her portfolio proudly displayed on the wall. And I had the pleasure of knowing the one. Is she married to Zane yet?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They got married in March.
Yeah.
Jen.
So Zane's husband, Zane Navratil, was kind of the resident pickleball extraordinaire at my beloved Banting Park where I live and where I represented as alderman. And that's when I was on the councils when I first met Zane and just really became enamored with him and his lovely wife. And,
Yep. They live in Austin, Texas.
Right. I know. I got to get down there because my brother lives there. I've been trying to connect those guys. But Zane's one of those guys. That's the kind of guy you want to be a celeb. Both of them, because they're
he
just
had
so.
to forfeit an entire
I remember
pickleball
that.
tournament
That's
to
one of my favorite
go
stories.
see Jen compete at Miss America.
He was
Oh,
in
I
the
didn't know that.
finals. He was in the single finals, and he'd made a promise that when if she made it all the way to Miss America, that he would be there with her.
Yep.
And he made the doubles finals, but the tournament said, "Well, if you're going to miss the singles, we're not going to let you do the doubles." And
Luckily,
But
his
it just-
partner was really understanding.
it created
Because
a great
he said,
stir.
"I gotta
though.
go. I
It did a
got
lot
Miss
for the
America."
sport too. You know, these
Yeah.
are the kind of people, and that's what's really cool about. There is kind of a social, a very friendly aspect of pickleball that people really appreciate. So, but Ella, you're about to say something, or no?
Oh, no.
Okay, I thought you were about to chime in. Sorry about that. Caught you on the spot. So now, how did you two, Mandi and Ella, whoever wants to go first, how did you two first get involved in pageants?
Sure, I'll go ahead and I'll go first. So I competed in the teen program when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
And I always knew I was going to be fully financially responsible for my college tuition. And so what a lot of people don't know about the Miss America opportunity and as well as Miss Wisconsin is that it really is a scholarship opportunity for a lot of women and young girls like Ella
Sure.
and myself.
Sure.
And so I was originally intrigued because of the scholarships that came along with competing.
Wow.
And then I also was a dancer. And so it was another opportunity for me to be on a stage. It was a win-win no matter what happened. And
Sure.
so I ended up winning the Wisconsin Outstanding Teen title in 2018. Went on to go to school at the University of Alabama where I was awarded the full
Roll Tide.
tuition. Yes, Roll Tide all the way.
Sure.
But where I was awarded the full tuition scholarship. So I think I walked away with over $170,000 in scholarships by the
Wow.
end. Oh, well, I guess I'm still going. So to date. But yeah, I mean, it's just been incredible. And I think when there's an organization that is so willing to pour into women and young girls and wanting them to succeed, that it's
Sure.
really hard to pull yourself away from that and
Yeah.
want to go
Sure.
anywhere separate from it. So I always knew that I wanted to come back and compete for Miss Wisconsin one day. But that's how I got involved and kind of why I'm staying with it too.
Terrific. Ella Bey?
Okay, well, a couple of my friends have actually been competing in this organization for a couple of years. And
Okay.
seeing them on stage and light up, I knew that I wanted to do it as well.
Sure.
So this year was my first time ever competing, and
Okay.
I won my local, and then I won this title.
Wow.
Mhm.
You make it sound so easy.
No, it's a lot of work, but
Sure.
I'm happy to put in the effort, and I'm pleased with the outcome.
Sure. What are some of the criteria involved for, I'm sure there's like different, how should you say it, scores, right? Or, or categories of score. And so what are, obviously dress and and how you present yourself are important, but what are some of the other?
Like areas of competition.
Yes. Thank
Sure.
you.
So I can describe like interview if you want to describe the onstage. So there's an interview portion that all the contestants will go through with the panel of judges
Okay.
that are before them. And a lot of times I think people are surprised that there's a panel because whenever I meet people as Miss Wisconsin, they're like, oh, how do I vote for you at Miss America? And I'm like, well, I appreciate that, but it's more so like a panel of judges. You
Sure.
interview with them and compete on stage.
Okay.
But there's that interview portion at state this year. It was about 10 minutes long. And so they can ask you any questions ranging from political manners to things about yourself to things about your initiative. Just a really wide range of topics to kind of test how you'll be under pressure and see how you communicate with people.
Okay. Terrific.
And then the onstage question is in front of everyone in the audience, and they ask you questions about your community service initiative, and usually your answer ranges from 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay. And how did you two choose your community service initiatives?
Well, my younger sister, Anya, was born with special needs, and it's made me realize that I want to share the joy that I get with her with all other people.
Nice.
And then mine is focused on adoption. So it's called Connecting Lives, Adoption Resources, and Advocacy. And when you take the first letter of each one of those bigger words, you end up with the name Clara, which is the name of my niece, who was adopted 2 years ago through a private adoption agency.
Okay.
She's also the reason why I want to go to law school, become a family lawyer, specialize in the adoption process. And so I really saw becoming Miss Wisconsin and advocating for adoption as an opportunity for me to gain those professional connections right now to see how I can propel myself into my future.
Sounds great. We're going to learn more about the causes that Miss Wisconsin, Mandi Genord, and Miss Wisconsin teen Ella Bey are supporting and advocating for, as well as other things they're working on, their plans for the future, and so much more, plus local news and acting locally, thinking globally with Mary Jane. Here on This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM. And don't forget the Civic Media app. We can.
Don't just talk about it, talk about it. Don't be shy, don't be shy. No, get up.
The world is waiting for the sun rising. My heart is calling you.
You're listening to This Week in Waukesha with your host, Don Brown, and the Mighty Max on the board here. And this is Waukesha's favorite son, Les Paul, with wife Mary Ford, and the world is waiting for the sunrise. And we don't have to wait anymore. It's here. It's coming a little bit later now as we go later into the the year and into the fall, but it's still just as beautiful, and probably even more so now that the colors are starting to change in the trees. And the farmers market will be opening up soon, and we'll have 2 reports for you in the second hour. And here's my for acting locally, thinking globally. I have a very good friend. I think everyone's good friend in Waukesha, Janie from the block, Mary Jane Sanchez, here to talk about National Hispanic Heritage Month. Janie, take over.
All
The
right.
mic is yours, kid.
Good morning, everybody. Mary Jane here. We're talking a little bit about Hispanic Heritage Month, and it actually is a month of 30 days, but it starts September 15th through October 15th. And there's a little bit of history back there. Well, first of all, Lyndon Johnson started out by making it a full week. President, thank you. And then it was expanded by President Ronald Reagan for a full month. And what it does is honors all the Spanish-speaking peoples in the U.S. from Spanish-speaking countries. So, of course, Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Honduras, on, Spain, whatever. And because they're an integral part of the fabric of Wisconsin as well as the United States, growing up in Waukesha, there are generations of family. I'm 3rd or 4th generation, but we're actually like almost Native Americans because
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
because the Mexico used to be Texas and Arizona, and that's where my family's from. I do have one grandmother that's from San Luis Potosí, and I've been around for quite a while. So that was way back in 1900 or so that my grandmother was born, but she came across as an au pair, and then she applied for citizenship. It was so much different then than it is now. You have to wait and be out of the country now to apply, and then wait your 8 to 20 years. But anyways, what I'm proud about is my heritage. When I was a kid, we used to go to all the dances, like at St. Joe's. Of course, there's a plethora of Mexican restaurants, but there's also Latin American restaurants, so you can get a little bit of variety. But what I'm mostly proud about is the people that have really become a big part of Waukesha. So we have judges and attorneys and healthcare providers, business owners, speakers, just all that started out, first generations are usually crop workers and laborers, and then they go on to working in trades, and then finally professional. But it's really about raising your families. It's about the music, the food, the religion, and just being active in the community. And so this month, and for me all year round, we celebrate Hispanic heritage and make great tamales for Christmas and for Easter. So those are our big tamale days, and everybody gathers together, everybody inputs, and that's what I'm very proud of. And then most people at this level, they've assimilated. It didn't matter where you were from, if it was Polish or Hungarian or wherever. You assimilate and become an American, but we're all from somewhere else, truly. So thank you, presidents, for creating this month of Hispanic heritage. I know the Milwaukee Museum has a display. The public library has a book. And there are plenty of other events out there for you to look at and find out more about our culture. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mary Jane. And I can also say that pride in her heritage continues with her 3 children that are doing amazing things. Oldest daughter is a very accomplished businesswoman, owns a major road construction company, federal contractor, I believe. And her son is an accomplished restaurateur at Growlers East is his newest concept, correct? There in Tosa on North Avenue. Did I get that right?
Correct.
So look for that. And then her youngest, Antonio, a University of Wisconsin graduate who was there on an academic scholarship, Waukesha South grad, is also doing some amazing things in real estate and real estate marketing out of New York City. Did I get all that right? In Manhattan. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so he manages all the what properties? Fanatics. Oh, there you go. globally. So kudos to Antonio, who was here in town, well, here in Wisconsin last weekend to see our beloved Badgers lose to Miss Wisconsin's and Miss Wisconsin Teens alma mater, future alma mater for the University of Alabama. So I know that's going to be that'll be a very hard thing for you to address, I think, as you travel around the state promoting.
I know. It's been a struggle already, let me tell you.
Sounds great. So how are we doing on time here, Max? 2 minutes, so great. Yeah, and I also, speaking of college football, and we're going to try to have some scores. Ella, do you know, did CMH play last night?
Oh, yes. We played against New Berlin West.
Oh, wow. Big Parkland Conference matchup. Probably the two best teams. And what was the final score?
28-0.
CMH?
Yes.
Wow. Was it at CMH or at New Berlin West?
No, we went to New Berlin
On the road.
West.
Big road win for the Crusaders. So
Yes.
Big congrats. And big congrats to my good friend, one of the coaches there, Kevin McLean, who used to coach at South, doing great things over there with the Crusader program. So really pleased to hear. And I know that the Black Shirts took second place again last night in a tough loss to New Berlin Eisenhower. So I think it was at one point it was 29-7. I don't know where it ended up from there, but still a long road for South as they in the new conference and as they develop this young program moving forward. So wishing them the best and hope to hear some other scores or hope to have them available shortly throughout the show. So when we come back, we are going to learn more about Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin Teen, and Mandi Genord, Miss Wisconsin, as well as their amazing photographer and downtown business owner, Denise Watrous. And mark your calendars, next Saturday, my guess is 15th District Alderman Corey Payne talking about some concerns he has with the upcoming city budget that I believe has been approved or proposed, or we're going to learn more about that, so be sure. And then County Supervisor and my predecessor on the council, Terry Themey, is my guest on October 5th, talking about another tax initiative, this one at the county level. So much more to look forward to on this beautiful Saturday morning at WOEK 540 AM and the Civic Media app.
Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Every little rosebud is covered with dew, and my heart is calling for you, the thrush on high.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Do you remember 21st night, September? Love was changing the minds, tender, while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts are ringing in the key that our souls are singing as we dance in the night. Remember how the stars stole the night away.
We are dancing in September this morning with two accomplished dancers, otherwise known as Miss Wisconsin and Miss Wisconsin Teen, Mandi Genord and Ella Bey, respectively. And that is one of my favorites from Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. And when did you two first start dancing?
Oh, I started dancing when I was 2 years old.
Wow.
Wait, same for me. I also started when I was 2 years old. And my first ever dance teacher was my mom, actually. So, yeah.
Well, gosh, you're the fourth generation in your family to
I
be doing
am,
contemporary
yes.
dance.
Yeah,
What a tradition.
it is. And I love it. I mean, it's really wonderful, too, because at Miss Wisconsin this year and now going into Miss America, my family created my talent with me. So it's kind of all of us that get to go on the
Together.
stage together, do
I
it
love
together. Definitely had its trials, but we got through it, and I'm proud with the outcome so far.
So do you have old photo albums, scrapbooks, even videos or film of mom, grandma, great-grandma,
Photos,
great-great-grandma
for sure.
too, right?
It's my great grandma.
Your great-grandma.
Although my
Okay.
niece just started her first dance
That's
class
5, yeah.
literally
Or 4, yeah,
yesterday,
okay.
so we're
Oh,
going
5,
on
yeah.
5. Oh
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, no, when my mom was our instructor, she had 4 kids that were dancing.
Wow.
And so there was this one year at recital where all 4 of us did this little routine together. And it was just absolutely insane. I mean, you know how siblings are. Like, they love each
Yeah.
other, but you want to all be in the front and you all want to
Yeah.
do this and you all want to do that. So it was interesting for sure. But I love my siblings. They're great.
Sure. How about you, Ella?
Oh, that's really funny that your mom taught you because my mom taught me and my
Love it.
brothers as
All right.
well when we were younger.
Your brothers took too, then.
Yes, they
That's
did.
fantastic. We need more male dancers. I always talk about my parents when you see them at weddings, like even well into their 80s. Watching them dance was so artful and beautiful, and that's like men used to dance, and then in recent years it became you shouldn't do that. It's kind of effeminate, or it's whatever. But that is a lost art that needs to be couples and men dancing together. It's really fun to watch.
Yes.
So, for sure. But, hey, real quick, I also want to give a big shout-out to Waukesha North High School celebrating their 50th anniversary during the 2024-25 school year. North opened in January 1974 as the second high school in the school district of Waukesha and held its 50th graduation ceremony this past June. Next week, North will celebrate its 50th homecoming with the gathering celebrating 5 decades of North Star pride. And I'll have more information on that later on in the show. And I also want to congratulate Waukesha North's golf coach, Dan Knuth, who was recently named the Wisconsin nominee for the National Federation of State High School Associations Coach of the Year. So congratulations to Coach Knuth and to Waukesha North for all the great tidings happening for them. And love to hear a football score on how the North Stars did last night. Big fan of Coach Ciano and the kids there, and love to hear more on that. So, and did you know 34 years ago this past Thursday, Bo would appreciate this. Bo Blaska's in studio, owner of Mia's. You have to get over there and you have to try the butternut squash ravioli. I know they have all these other great signatures, but please go over there and try that. You'll thank me for doing that. So, but 34 years ago this week, the movie Goodfellas was released. Classic movie. Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Paul Sorvino. Gosh, the one actress name escapes me, but she was also the psychiatrist on The Sopranos. But Dr. Melfi, yes. But Lorraine Bracco, yes, thank you. Thanks so much, Denise. But if you love film, like cinematography and everything, and by the way, when I had the Waukesha South Marching Band, their director, Mike DeBruin, one of the classes he teaches is music and film. And they should have continuing. I would love to get in there to just take that class, So, but anyway, just some amazing cinematography in that movie that we'll recall later on in the show. But anyway, back to our guest, and we were talking about dance. Now, were you a dancer too, Denise, growing up? Did we talk about that?
We didn't. I was a dancer, but I was a baton twirler.
Okay.
My dance experience was really just to help the baton twirling.
Sure.
As my oldest daughter was also. She was a baton twirler.
Wow.
The dance was just there to kind of help the twirling.
That is very cool. So I guess now would be a time, if you can indulge me for a moment. I know that the pageant industry gets some, shall we say, negative press, or maybe how women are portrayed in maybe maybe not so favorable light. That maybe an emphasis on physical beauty and you hear the jokes about world peace and everything else. But what Denise has told me, and I believe, is that we have beauty that goes skin deep, but we also have a very intelligent, ambitious young woman with some very serious career goals. But if you could speak to that, like some of those, I'm sure you have to address that all the time, some of the negative connotations or bad press.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. From my perspective, what I've noticed, and I think it's very unfortunate that this happens, is that you could be the most intelligent person, incredibly talented, very humble, very kind, and people will always expect this physical aspect that comes along with being Miss Wisconsin or Miss Wisconsin's teen. And so I think in a sense we kind of have to dress the part, but I think once you get into conversation with a lot of these women, you understand that it is about so much more than the physical factors. And to just give you like a rundown of that, I know I told you about my scholarship story before, but I went to a Division I university. I had 3 majors, graduated with 2 degrees, did it all with a 4.0 GPA, was in the top 10% of my graduating class. And I did that all because of the Miss America opportunity, because this organization is an organization that is about building strong and intelligent women. And to put it into even more perspective, I want to be a lawyer. The Miss Wisconsin before me is a broadcast journalist. The Miss Wisconsin before her, a nuclear engineer. Like, these are very driven, intelligent women who go through this program. But unfortunately, that is often a part of the message that is left out. So I appreciate you asking about that.
Sure.
Because it is often forgotten.
That would be a great marketing or brand promotion where you have those previous, and you have them like in their business attire, their professional attire.
Yeah, without a
and
doubt.
then underneath, by the way, they are all Miss Wisconsin.
Yeah.
They're all,
And you even look at like our current Miss America right now, Madison Marsh. She's a second lieutenant in the Air Force. Like,
Training to be a Top Gun.
That's right.
Yes.
Pilot.
Like, it's just these women who are so renowned in what they do. It's inspiring. There's no other word to describe it.
Sure.
I know from my perspective, I actually teach a pageant headshot photography class to photographers
Oh, cool.
all over
Where
the
at?
country. I
just
do it
right,
at
okay.
different conventions.
Sure. How neat.
And the first thing that the very first thing that I talk about in my presentation is debunking those myths. I can't tell you how many photographers groups I've seen where somebody will say, "Oh my gosh, I had a client call me, their daughter's doing a pageant, they need a headshot. What do I do?" And the responses from other professional photographers are so offensive to me. They're so disgusting. Pageant girls are dumb. Why would you do that? So I literally start my presentation by debunking that and talking about, just as she said, our current Miss America is in the Air Force. Last year's Miss America, who was Miss Wisconsin, by the way, she's incredible, is a nuclear engineer.
Yeah.
My very first Miss Wisconsin, Megan, who is now the co-director of Miss Wisconsin, has a biomedical engineering degree, and then she became a lawyer.
Wow.
So they're not dumb. These are some of the most driven, talented, impressive women you'll meet.
And I think another aspect of that too is it takes a lot of, and I'm not saying this to like up myself, but it takes a lot of courage to stand on a stage and to not know what you're going to be asked and to just have to go with it. And again, like, these are just very courageous women who are willing to put themselves out there, willing to go through this process, train incredibly hard for it at that, and put a lot of their own time and effort into something as special as competing at Miss America, for example.
How about you, Ella? How do you respond to
Well, I feel like these two explained it so well. But from my personal experience, I've always been very shy, and going through this system and being open into new environments, it's really helped me find myself and helps me gain a lot of confidence. So I really would recommend this to any young girl out there.
You also have to grow a thick skin when you're doing this. I don't know if Ella can attest to this or not, but
you got to have a sense of humor. You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Sure.
And I mean, and I've become comfortable with that, but I remember when I was the teen title holder myself, like, I was so afraid of saying it in high school and like telling my people I went to school with that I was Miss Wisconsin's teen and that I did pageants. And now I think about it and I'm like, oh no, I would have posted about it every day. I do post about it every day as Miss Wisconsin now. I'm like, whatever, I want everyone to know. But yeah, it's just hard, especially I think a lot of, and I don't know if you want to speak to this more, Ella, but I think sometimes teens can get deterred because there's always that voice in your head that makes you question what other people are going to think about it. And if there's just one thing I could tell people, whatever, like, just don't care, just go for it, do it.
I know when my own daughter was Miss Wisconsin National Teenager, same thing. She, granted, that was really before social media was a huge thing.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to talk about it at school because there's an aspect, especially with teen girls, of jealousy, which jealousy a lot of times comes out as just meanness.
Sure.
And that's hard to navigate as a teenager.
Sure.
And I think you really grow to find those people who are willing to pour their support into you as well. When you get involved in something like this, and you have to find friends who understand that you're going to be waking up at 4:30 in the morning and not getting home till 10:30 at night.
Sure.
And they understand, and they're the ones to reach out to you and the ones to try to plan things with you because they understand that it is a big responsibility and a big commitment.
Sure. So you're talking about going to law school. Are you in the process of applying right now, or what's your status? Yeah.
Yes, I am. So law school applications for the schools that I want to apply to opened on September 1st, and they run until about April. So there's the early admissions deadline, similar to how you apply to an undergraduate degree.
Yep.
There's the early admissions deadline, which I'm hoping to be submitted and done with it by then. But I've taken my LSAT, completed that exam 3 times now, have a score that I'm very happy with.
Terrific.
So, yeah, just looking forward to the future.
And can I ask what schools you're applying to, Mandi, if that's okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, I did my undergraduate degree out of state, and I'm hoping to go in-state for law school. So, looking at Madison or Marquette, both incredible schools, both that I would be very happy to go to.
Sure. Any others?
Yes. So looking at the Chicago area, I also am intrigued to like Miami, New York, just to, explore other places and maybe experience something else for those 3 years. But I really am hoping for a Wisconsin school just because I still have nieces and nephews and grandparents who are around and people who I just want to spend time with and watch grow up and experience these wonderful things with. So hoping for a Wisconsin school, but I'd be happy
Sure.
anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Ella, I think we'd kind of tipped our hand, or we kind of maybe have mentioned are you going to go to school there for sure for college?
Yes, I am.
And tell us where that is again.
The University of Alabama.
So that's terrific. Congratulations. And were there any other schools you're applying to, or is that just a no-brainer based on the work you've been doing?
No brainer. I'm
That's
going
great.
there.
Wow. Is it also, can I ask if it's a full scholarship too?
hmm
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I imagine by now you've visited Tuscaloosa and the campus there?
Not yet, actually. I'm very busy with appearances and dance and
Yeah.
school.
Wow.
So
How do you balance all that?
Oh, well, I have a schedule that I follow pretty strictly.
Sure.
And, pageants and school come first. And
Okay.
I get done
Yeah.
what I need to get done.
And I don't mean to be picking on you because Mandi, you've been through this for at least a few more years than Ella. And Ella, you're still in high school. There's just so much pressure at that age. I have a daughter that's a freshman now, and but you've actually both of you have been going through this for quite a few years, the pageant competitions, correct? So you've already kind of established that life balance at a pretty young age. Is that fair to ask?
Well, this is my first year competing.
I stand correct. I'm sorry, I missed that. Wow.
It's okay.
So coming out as a rookie, you ended up big time.
Yes.
So
I-
wow, that's really amazing.
I'm very blessed.
So you've been learning on the job then.
Yes.
Sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. Your mom was nodding behind you, and I was like, oh, because it's her first time, not because she's, not being truthful. But I appreciate that. No, I appreciate your sharing because you're living grown-up lives at a pretty young age.
Yeah.
I mean, with already big responsibilities. So I think you'll have a certain advantage. It's what I say about people I went to college with that were on the GI Bill. Like I used to, in a way, I'd feel bad. How are we doing on time here? Less than a minute here, man? Okay. We're going to continue this conversation this week in Waukesha with our pageant winners and with Denise Watrous, photographer, and so much more here on WAUK 540 AM and the Civic Media app. Hey, you're listening This Week in Waukesha. And that's Misty Mountain Hop with Led Zeppelin. And I thought of it because on my way driving out to some clients this week, early in the morning, there was a fog there on my beloved Banting Park. And right away I thought of that one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs and the opening line, "Walking in the park just the other day, baby." Oh, sorry. But that whole misty ambiance was just, it was beautiful. and some great moments here as we break into the new season of autumn. Really my favorite time of year. Nothing against summer. Boy, I love the heat. And we're getting that summer heat still. Thank you so much that this continues. But before we continue with our guests, I want to congratulate Waukesha South has 4 National Merit semifinalists, and they are Amalia Watts, excuse me, Sayukshe Vadiam, also known as Sai, Samantha Stuntner, and Sophia Antheline. And the athletic director and assistant principal, Dan Schreier, has also informed me that Sai plays volleyball with the defending Classic 8 and sectional champion Waukesha Fusion combined volleyball team, coached by Joe Bansky. And Sophia does cross country and track. And Amalia is in tennis and band. So just like my guest here, Miss Wisconsin and Miss Wisconsin teen, some very well-rounded young student athletes there at Waukesha South. Thanks to all 4 of you and to your families for making us Black Shirt proud, Waukesha proud, and, of course, Waukesha strong. So, and speaking of strong, we have some very formidable guests here. Denise Watrous of Denise Watrous Photography and her very important clients, Mandi Genord, Miss Wisconsin teen, and Miss Wisconsin, and Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin teen. So my apologies for mixing up your titles there. So, but I wanted to finish that conversation before we had to move to some commercial obligations. And what were we talking about again? Can anyone remember? My short-term memory's going. So
Was it the standards? Or was that a little earlier?
that was a little earlier, yeah, the standards. So, but this is local radio. Sometimes you get a little.
Just kind of go with it.
Yeah. So, but I think we were talking about kind of balancing your life balance and how you've achieved that and how you continue to achieve that, and you still get to Ella. You were at the Did you go to the CMH game last night in New Berlin West?
I didn't actually.
Okay.
I was hanging out with a family friend.
Oh, nice. But you heard the good news.
Yes, I
So-
did. I got lots of text messages that we won.
That's great. But you still get to do.
She hasn't mentioned she is on the dance team at CMA.
Oh, yes.
on the
I
dance
am.
team at CM. Okay, so my oldest daughter was on the Waukesha South varsity dance team all 4 years in high school, and they got to compete in state a couple times, and so that was a real great joy for us. And my daughter, like yourselves, have been dancing since she was like 2 or 3. She was dancing out of Anita's there.
My daughter was on the company at Anita's.
So, and a great story you can all appreciate that is Anita's parents started that company, and they named it after her. She was a daughter. And way back, even during the Depression, families could pay as you go because they wanted it to be affordable for these families. And that tradition continues today. You pay every week, and if you can't, then they just they keep a tally, and you pay when you can.
I think there was a whole decade
So-
that every actual check I wrote just said Anita's dance. Anita's dance.
Yeah. So
I'm sure my bank said,
yeah.
okay, she only pays money to Anita's dance.
Yeah. So, but it really shaped my daughter's life. It became such a big part of her life. I wrote a blog about a couple weeks after the Christmas parade attack. She was at a competition up in Schwabenon, and the girl that came on before her, first 30 seconds, she nailed everything perfectly, and then there was a slight goof that the untrained eye like myself really didn't catch. Very few people, but she got all upset and she stormed off the stage like she was a complete failure. And then my daughter came on, and I'd seen her do this before. Where if you miss a step, or there was such a grace to it that just it was like in that Al Pacino movie. If you get untangled, tangle out, and so that's kind of what and it was. So I wrote a blog about just the grace and the beauty and the elegance of it, and the expression, and just how it touches so many people. And especially, like I said, in the wake of something like that tragic, it's just this whole idea of grace triumphing over evil. And that's what our performing arts can do.
So here's a funny tie-in about Anita to Miss Wisconsin. So I've mentioned her before. So she's co-director of Miss Wisconsin. She was my first Miss Wisconsin, Megan Coffey DeMoore.
Okay.
She was on company at Anita's.
Wow.
I
think I knew that.
Ended up being an instructor at Anita's. And when she was Miss Wisconsin, Anita went to Miss America. Actually, I sat next to Anita.
Wow.
I've known Anita for years. So we sat next to each other at Miss America. It was in Las Vegas back then.
I think my daughter had her picture taken with her as a young girl.
With
when
Megan?
she was Miss Wisconsin. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
think that
love
was
that.
the one. Yep. So is that 10 seconds? Oh, it's 40 seconds. Okay, sounds great. Well, we have so much more to talk about. We've got an extra hour to do that. So be sure to stick around here on This Week in Waukesha.
We
on
still got
548.
an extra minute, Don.
An extra minute. Oh, sorry, there. It's a minute and a half. I had it all
30,
wrong.
minute
So
30.
not 40 seconds. Thanks, Max. So, but I don't know what I do without Max. So, anyway, we got a little extra time here, but we do have 2 farmers market reports in the second hour. So excited about that. Have you been? Any of you been to our? I know Denise has. You've been to our farmers market, right?
I haven't.
It's Wisconsin's biggest farmers market. So you may have, if time allows, you might have to do a little tour there with your sashes and.
When and where does it run?
You know, it's starting in any minute now, 8:00. It's right across from Waukesha State Bank, so it's walking distance, but there's parking there behind the bank, and you can get some really great seasonal produce too, and there may even be some patty pan squash and butternut squash. But again, just go to Bo's there at Mia's for the butternut squash ravioli. So, but now we got 30 seconds, so. Please stick around. We have so much more to cover on this beautiful Saturday morning, September 21st, on This Week in Waukesha. And don't forget to download the Civic Media app if you haven't already, because then you can take This Week in Waukesha and all the great programming we have around the state with you anywhere you go.
As long as you know.
Give it up. Come on,
Share it out.
Share it out. Help who you can.
Who you can.
Talk about it. Talk about it. All right.
Late in the morning.
That is
September
right.
21st, 2024. If it's 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, it's still time for This Week in Waukesha, Hour 2. And that chorus was brought to you by yours truly and my special guest, Denise Watrous. Denise Watrous Photography. Miss Wisconsin, Mandi Genord, and Miss Wisconsin teen, Ella Bey. You did a great job, ladies.
Well, there's a
We just had to
reason
work
I
out some
dance. I
timing.
will say there's a reason I dance.
Well, I'm Irish, and there's an old Celtic proverb, sing as if no one were listening, dance as if no one were watching, and live each day as though it were your last.
I like
So,
it.
But when we watch you dance, I imagine it's beautiful and it's graceful and it's all the things you want out of a good
They
dancer.
are incredible
A-
dancers.
and Ella does her own choreography. How cool is that?
Yeah.
So, and she did that as a sophomore in the Miss Wisconsin team. So, for any of you college football fans, there was a great color commentator who used to work with Keith Jackson named Frank Broyles, and he had that Southern accent. And he didn't say sophomore, he always said sophomore. And the naked bootleg was always pronounced the naked bootleg. But anyway, do you know what sophomore means in Latin? I mean, you do go to a Catholic school, so you may know.
I actually take Spanish. I don't take Latin.
Okay. Well, close. Because that's my mom was a Latin teacher, so I had to take those classes. And do we have the farmers market report in? So, but anyway, sophomore means wise fool.
Oh.
Let's hear it. Who's on for the farmers market? Anyone?
It's David, I believe.
Go ahead, David. Are you there?
Hey, morning, Don. How you doing?
Good morning to you. A beautiful morning over there at the farmers market, I imagine, huh?
Oh, yeah, the freaking jacket. It's a crisp 60 degrees out here right now.
Oh, it is jacket wet. Okay, wow. So now,
Yeah,
what are our specials today, or have you seen the recipe yet across the street? The recipe of
oh, yeah.
across the way. What is it?
Oh, yeah. We've got a nice, spicy little veggie enchilada for you today. And it's absolutely, my mouth is watering just looking at it. I can't wait to make it when I get home. But in the meantime, we all around the fair, we've got a new bit of a change of variety. We've got more and more apple orchards all around the
It's
fair.
that time for apples.
Got all farmers bringing out their farm fresh eggs, fresh honey, and it's just I can't wait to go out and just get some stuff, some groceries bought.
I love it, David. Thanks so much. Anything else to report before I let you get back to it?
Not much, but I gotta say, keep on singing. You guys were fantastic.
Thanks so much, David, and the ladies. Thank you too. They're very grateful for that. So, all right, we'll be checking back with you in the second part, at the beginning of the second half of this hour. And thanks so much for all you do, David, at our WAUK booth at the Waukesha Farmers Market. And so I got to tell you, the Downtown Business Association that organizes the farmers market, their information booth is right across from ours. And David was keen to discover that they put a new recipe out every week for things you can make with some of the purchases you can make at the farmers market. A lot of the fresh produce, and I think that's just a wonderful addition to what is one of the largest, and maybe very well be the largest farmers market in Wisconsin. And at least, and one of the oldest, I believe, too. So it's, but there's so much there for everybody. I know in our Jane Matinere from Matinere on air that takes place 10 to 12 Monday through Friday, when she helps David at the farmers market booth, she goes for the maple bacon scone.
Oh, that sounds so
And I always
good.
say, if you're going to do a branding campaign for the farmers market, that's your tagline right there: maple bacon scone.
That
And so
sounds
much more.
I feel like if you put maple and bacon together, you're bound to get good
It's
results.
a winner.
You know?
Yeah. So
Together on anything.
Absolutely.
together on everything. So, but yes, so and unfortunately, this is the time of year for apples too. So unfortunately, I won't be able to make the farmers market because I have to drive down to Orland Park, Illinois. My daughter and her ESA ethics softball academy has a tournament down in the South Chicagoland. So unfortunately I'll miss this farmers market very much so, but I may have to give a few bucks over to Mary Jane, see if she can pick something up for me. So anyway, she's like laughing. Hey Max, do you want to cue that song real quick? If you can do it. It is college football season, and we have some college football fans here and high school football fans, and still waiting to get you some scores from North and South. So, for those of you college football fans, especially Big Ten football fans, thanks for that, Max. The Big Ten commercial that's been going on for years had that song. It's called Silver Lining by a band called Giants, and it shows you the map of like where all the Big Ten schools are. And it started west in Nebraska at the time, the furthest, in recent years, and then it extended all the way to the newer teams like Maryland and Rutgers is the birthplace of college football. Well, now that we've added 4 teams formerly of the Pacific 12, iconic teams like Washington, Oregon, USC, UCLA, it's become a real super conference. And I know some people are upset about that, but I think it's really cool. As a Big Ten, I'm a Michigan State Spartan, and I'm like, let's just go, because now, like I said, the conference extends coast to coast. So you start out with a commercial like that. They've added and it's all animated. So it's like it now starts in Seattle, where the University of Washington is, and then Oregon. And then it goes to L.A., where you have UCLA and USC, and there's different, like, so UCLA, like the Rose Bowl will pop up, USC, the Coliseum will pop up. So whatever the fabled, things of each school are. But I say, let's go for the jugular and just take all the great iconic programs. Maybe we get the University of Alabama to leave the SEC and join the Big
Well,
Ten.
funny you're saying. Can I tell you a funny
Yeah.
story really quick about college football?
Sure.
So my dad's side of the family lives in Michigan, and they're not Michigan State fans, but they're big Michigan fans.
Oh, now it really gets worse.
Yes, I
That's
know. But so I obviously went to school at Alabama, and the Final Four this last year.
At the Rose Bowl.
Yep, this Final Four this last year. Like me and my family, we were arguing. We're like, who's going to do it? And I bet my brother-in-law. I was like, if Alabama makes the final 2, if it's Alabama and someone else for the championship, you have to wear an Alabama shirt to work.
Sure.
For a week. And he was like, fine, but if they don't, you have to wear a Michigan shirt to your college graduation party.
Oh.
And we didn't make it. But he didn't come through with that bet, so I was fine. But I was nervous on that one.
Yeah.
I know. I was nervous.
No matter what, that was a heck of a game.
It was.
Really, and I hate to admit this, but I was actually rooting for Michigan because I wanted to see a Big Ten team. Finally, somebody get past Alabama. Michigan State played Alabama in the I guess you'd call it football's Final Four at the Cotton Bowl in 2015, and then we ended up on the losing side of that. So I figured, and you got to understand, I hate Jim Harbaugh more than I like winning, and there's a difference, to borrow from Moneyball. But and again, I'm a huge Nick Saban fan. It broke my heart when he left MSU for LSU, but then he did a stint in the NFL and ended up with Alabama, and it was great to see him turn that program around.
Well, did you just see that they renamed the Alabama field to Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium?
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and there's a great story too. There's a history between Michigan State and University of Alabama, football programs that very few people know about. As Michigan State was really the first major program to integrate college football, and at their game last Saturday, they celebrated those two teams, the 1965 and 66 teams that were both national champions. And out of 22 possible starters, offense and defense, they had 11 African-American starters, including the first black quarterback of a major program. And to really make that occasion even more special, the Spartans had an opportunity because they had it was a non-conference team. They they invited an HBCU, Prairie View A&M, to come. And so it was a really special occasion and a great way to do it. But one of the reasons that helped Michigan State was that the legendary football coach, Duffy Doherty, had a close relationship with Bear Bryant. And back in the days of segregation, and Bryant really wanted to recruit these great players, he would send them to Duffy Doherty because he knew Duffy Doherty would take care of them and give them a fighting chance and really change the face of college football forever. And so it's neat that there is that kind of that close tie between the two schools. So
Yeah, without a doubt. Although I will say I think game days look very different between the two now.
yeah,
Very different, yeah.
yeah, because I mean
In the best way, though.
Oh yeah,
but-
sure. And that was the thing is like that Spartan team was like what Alabama is today, and what Alabama really was for many of those years in the Bear Bryant era. So great to celebrate that. And now focusing in on our guests and their accomplishments. Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin teen. Mandi Genord, Miss Wisconsin. So I got those right. And then entrepreneur and former pageant participant and still a coach, but also photographer of the stars, Denise Watrous. You're going to tell me about what's involved, or you wanted to talk about what's involved with the work you're doing with pageants. Did I get that right?
Sure, absolutely. Excuse me. So like I said earlier, I'm the official sponsor of Miss Wisconsin. So I photograph many, many, many pageant participants from different systems, different ages. But when you win Miss Wisconsin or Miss Wisconsin teen, like I said, they're mine. And Mandy's been mine before because she was the teen in what year? 18?
2018, yes. Yep.
2018. We have a lot of fun.
Sure.
So just to kind of give you some perspective. So I do their Miss America headshots, which is incredible. But
I bet.
when Mandi was my teen, our Christmas shoot that year, I made her a dress out of evergreen branches. And made her stand in 17 degrees and snow.
And I would do it all over again for
the
you,
hazards
Denise.
of the job, yeah.
So every year I put a lot of pressure on myself. Every year I really want to create something of Miss Wisconsin that is, I want people to see it and just go, wow, I want to be Miss Wisconsin just to do that. So this year, Mandi's big photo shoot, which, oh my gosh, when she won. And again, I've known Mandi for a long time.
Sure.
She said, hey, just so you know, my boyfriend drives a Wisconsin duck called the Miss Wisconsin. And I said, stop it right now. How do we make this happen? So he pulled some strings and we actually did her photo shoot.
Wow.
On the Wisconsin duck, named the Miss Wisconsin, along the Wisconsin River. And
that's right. I think I saw,
literally standing in a gown on
those are some beautiful shots.
The front end of a Wisconsin duck. And it is incredible. And then Ella's very new to the pageant world. And so when I asked her, what do we want to do this year? And I've done crazy things. I had a Miss Wisconsin.
How are we doing the time here, Max? I'm sorry. So about 30 seconds. So we're going to continue.
Okay.
I want to hear Ella's story
it's great.
here in This Week in Waukesha. Plus, we're going to have the Carol Minute. And we're going to talk about Waukesha Reads as well. And then we'll have another Farmers Market report here in This Week in Waukesha. WAUK 540 AM. And don't forget the Civic Media app. Here we go. Help who you can. Help who you can. Talk about it. Talk about it. Don't be shy.
black coat on, running from a bad home, with some cat inside. Where'd you find her? Among the neon lights that haunt the streets outside. She says, stay with me, beautiful girl. Stay with me, beautiful girl. Stay with me.
You're listening to This Week in Waukesha with Don Brown, and that is Beautiful Girl by INXS. One of the greatest live concerts I ever went to was INXS at the old Shays Theater in Buffalo back in the summer of 1986. Really an electrifying show. And that was Beautiful Girl. And now, real quick, we're going to go into the Carol Minute, and we want to some shout-outs here. Carol's women's soccer team tied UW-Platteville this week, and they handed the previously undefeated UW-Platteville their first blemish of the season, shall you will. It wasn't a loss, but it was a tie. And so that puts Platteville at 7-0-1 and Carroll at 1-3-2. Men's tennis had a big win against Concordia, University of Wisconsin, this past weekend. And that was here in Waukesha, 6-1. And then kind of the big, the favorite children of Carroll athletics lately has been the women's volleyball team. They took they took the Red Hawk Invitational, hosted by Ripon College, to continue the best start in school history. Pioneers are in the midst of a 9-match win streak, the longest in school history. So congratulations to them. And then, of course, the Pio football team plays at Washington University in St. Louis today at 1 p.m. It's their conference opener, and the Bears have had the Pios number the last 5 games, winning by a pretty big average. Although last year they did come close. I got to broadcast that game at Washington University in St. Louis. Beautiful campus, beautiful. That stadium is where the 1904 Olympics was held, and so a lot of the remnants from the Olympics are still there, like the wrought iron gate, and the press box where I was there was still there. So very cool, a lot of history, a beautiful campus, especially in the fall. But hopefully the Piles will spoil the Bears' home game today down there with a W and bring it back here. They'll have another tough juggernaut as they have their home opener next Saturday against Wheaton College. Again, one of the elites of the CCIW. So good luck to Coach Buddha and the Pios. Now, we're going to finish the story. Denise was talking about the photo op she did with, she was talking about what she did with Mandi, with Miss Wisconsin and the Ducks. Now she's going to talk about what she did with Miss Wisconsin teen Ella Bey.
So love it. I have to look at her when I say it because it was so cute. So again, Ella's newer to our pageant life.
Yeah, I'll say brand new.
And I try every year. I try to ask the ladies, what's your dream photo shoot? What do you want to do? Like what? Some girls look at me and say, I don't know. I've done all kinds of crazy things. And I said to Ella, what do you want to do? And she said, I like flowers and butterflies. And I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, I don't think she gets it.
You can take her to the museum where they have the butterflies, don't you?
Well, I was like, okay, butterflies are little. I can remember thinking, I don't think she gets that. Like we can go anywhere, anything the state has to offer. I mean, I've done Devil's Lake, I've done the ice caves, I've done Cave
Love
of the
Devil's
Mounds,
Lake.
I've done what else have I done over the years? I don't even know. Crazy things. And so after she got to know me a little bit more, I said, okay, what do you want to do? And she said, I still like flowers and butterflies.
Nice.
So I thought about it. And then I came up with just a crazy idea. And as soon as I had the idea, it was really early in the morning. I got up, I got ready, and drove to Bank of Flowers, which is a local flower shop in Pewaukee, because she lives in Pewaukee.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Don't know the owner, did not know her. I think I probably scared her.
I got a
little.
photo op for you.
I said, hey, do you want to collaborate with me? And I told her my vision, and she loved it. And so maybe a week later, we had Ella in the studio where we literally turned her into a beautiful bouquet.
Wow.
Yep. And it is all of the things.
Wow. So could you do me a favor as if there's a way you could put both of those photo shoots and then tag This Week in
Oh,
Waukesha,
for sure.
that would be great.
Absolutely.
And
They're
Don
beautiful.
Brown, yeah, that'd be great.
And so I went from not really knowing what I was going to do with flowers and butterflies
Sure.
to creating a one-of-a-kind,
Okay.
amazing portrait of her.
Wow. I can't wait to see that.
I'm
Love it.
so grateful to you.
Aw. I love it. I love it. So.
Sure.
One thing about Denise is that she makes sure everyone has very different photos. And I think that's one of the things that you do best as a photographer is you make
And-
sure everyone has a very unique, very stylistic choice in their photography. It's a very unique experience for the individual.
And well suited to your personality as well as
Absolutely.
like what it is you're into at that point in your life.
Yeah, I never want to do the same thing twice.
Sure. Well, and as you mentioned, both of you were shy before getting involved in pageants, and it's really done a lot for your confidence. So I imagine with the photography, it's the same way, right? Do you feel more confident when you're being shot?
Yes.
I would say yes, but I also think, and you can speak to this too, Ella, I think growing up as dancers also, like you're
Yes,
just always,
yeah.
you're always performing.
Yeah.
There's always that
We have our-
performance aspect that you're doing.
We have our share of photos with our daughter.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I did the father-daughter dance with our youngest daughter, and that was really special.
That's
So,
adorable.
yeah. Oh, it is. Yep. So
Well, I still remember doing that with my dad. And then one year we did like a grandfather, granddaughter dance in my studio. That one was really
cool.
special. Yes,
I
we did like
bet.
a mom's dance. We did it all. I loved
sure,
it.
sure. Now, did Grandpa dance as well as Grandma?
Oh, no.
Well,
No,
you just
no,
figured
no,
since
no.
she was,
My grandpa was a race car guy. So he
Oh,
was
that's cool.
he sat back, relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
but still, if you're married to someone that's trained in contemporary dance,
Oh, yeah.
and this is a family tradition spanning now 5 generations, isn't there some pressure on the hubby to like
Oh,
get
yes.
some steps down?
Well,
at
my
least,
my dad is the funniest person
at
ever.
least do a simple box trot.
Yeah, well, my dad will be like, you didn't point your toe on this part. And he's like, you could have done this bigger.
I
Is
love-
your dad like that, Ella?
No.
That's
He just
funny.
enjoys the show. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrific.
No, it's very interesting. My dad, though, he's like, and my dad's funny. He's like, yeah, I have my own school of dance. Didn't you know? He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't. But he
Yeah.
thinks he does. He's
I
funny.
love it. Well, we're going to talk more about dance steps as well as Waukesha reads and the second Farmers Market report from David on this beautiful Saturday morning, September 21st, here on This Week in Waukesha, WAUK 540 AM in the Civic Media app. Please download it, especially my guests, since you're traveling around the state. We have over 20 stations. You can catch a lot of great programming, and you may even be on some more of our Civic Media shows here. Don't go away.
She's so scared, so very frightened. Anything. While they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? Talking about a revolution.
Hey, you're listening to This Week in Waukesha on WAUK 540 AM, and
People gonna rise up.
I'm Don Brown, your host, and the mighty Max Martinson is on the board, and that's one of my favorites, Tracy Chapman, with Talking About a Revolution. I got to see her live at the Guinness Fla back in '98 at the old Arlington racetrack, which may be the future home of Denise's Chicago Bears. Knock on wood. But that was really quite a show that Tracy Chapman put. I also got to see the late Sinead O'Connor there, the late Shane McGowan, and a few other great acts. John Lee Hooker was there, too. So it was a really great Saturday down there in Chicagoland back in '98. And yes, thank you, Max. We've got David with the part 2 of the Farmers Market Report. David, take it away.
Hey, Don, how you doing?
Never better, David. How about you?
So I'm doing all right, and right now I've got some fantastic music going. We got the music of Dr. Bob music right now. And then
Nice.
later on today, we'll have some music from Jessica Lynn. So far, it is just a great way to start the morning.
That's a great, we forget that there's live music going on there too. So there's something for everybody at the farmers market. And I know at our booth there, we've got treats for the dogs, treats for the kids of all ages. And there's a wheel you can spin, right? Are we giving away any prizes, David?
Oh yeah, we've got more prizes than usual today. We've got everything from Taco Jalisco to Delafield Brew House, all fantastic.
Delafield Brew
gift
House, yeah.
certificates. Oh yeah, and then of course our T-shirts ready to give away. But,
Great T-shirts. I'm wearing one now.
Oh yeah, and with that said though, we've got I've got a name you're probably very familiar with, Don. I've got Lindsay Johnson here from the food pantry.
Oh, can you put
in
Lindsay
Waukesha.
on?
Oh yeah, here she is right now.
Oh, great.
Hi, Don.
Hey, Lindsay, great to hear from you. Full disclosure, I'm on the board of the food pantry serving Waukesha County, but that does not preclude me from having Lindsay talk. She's been on the show twice. What's going on over there?
First of all, it's a beautiful morning. If you are interested in spending some great time outside, you should totally come down to the farmers market. It's gorgeous. Lots of activity and perfect weather.
Terrific. Anything you're looking for in particular?
Well, there's lots of vegetables, and so great produce, great flowers. It's a great place to be.
Terrific. Now, do you guys have a table today at the farmers market for the food pantry?
We do. So this year, Steaming Cup is actually sponsoring the farmers market bag sales, and
Nice.
they have decided to make the food pantry the recipient of the proceeds for those bag sales.
Oh, wonderful.
And so, right, so we're there building awareness of food insecurity and making some money for the food pantry. So we're excited to be here.
Wow, that's what a great combination there too. So, well, we're really glad you're there, and I owe you a phone call. I've been remiss, but really grateful for all the fine work you're doing in your first year with the food pantry serving Waukesha County, and hopefully we can get our guest, Miss Wisconsin Teen, maybe to do something to support and endorse the food pantry and help address food insecurity, not only in this area but perhaps throughout the state. So, terrific.
That'd be great.
Sounds great. Thanks, Lindsay. Can you put David back on?
Hey Don.
That was a great job there, Dave. Put Lindsay Johnson on. She's really doing fantastic things there, taking over for Karen Treadwell, who did an amazing job over 26 years, I believe, for the food pantry. And so it's great to see that continuity of great leadership continues.
Yeah,
So.
and what she was telling me, one thing she told me earlier that is absolutely amazing is that she told me that they raised about like $3,000 in bag sales alone for the food pantry.
Terrific. That is
yeah.
great. Fantastic. Well, David, thanks again. Doing a great job out there. And I look forward to touching base with you next week. And hopefully I'll be able to shop next week, too, because I love our farmers market. So, David, thanks again.
Yep,
So,
talk to you later.
So for all of you listening, it's a perfect day to be at the farmers market because it's sunny, it's warm, but it's not too hot. So I know that there's some hot days in the summer there, but now that we're in the fall and there's a greater abundance of offerings now that we're in the harvest season, if you will. So, and then before I continue with my guest, don't forget it's day 2 of the Waukesha Oktoberfest there at Frame Park. It starts at noon. There's a Das Bags tourney that goes from noon to 6. There's wood carving from noon to 8. There's a blacksmith from noon to 10. Music by the Squeezettes. At 2 p.m., there's Glockenspiel and family area with crafts and games from 2 to 5. And there's an unveiling of the Oktoberfest cake at 2:30. The live beer garden starts from 3:30 to 7:30, and so much more. There's a drone show over the Fox River that starts at 9 o'clock. So I think if you're really out of things to do on this beautiful Saturday, I think that's a great choice. They're heading over to Frame Park. So now Mary Jane had a good question for our guests, for Mandi Genord, Miss Wisconsin, and Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin Teen, and their photographer Denise Watrous. How long do you hold the title? Like when did you win the award? Was it in April or March when you were crowned?
So we were both crowned in June.
June, okay.
Sorry. And we get to hold the title for a whole year.
So
Unless they win Miss America.
Yes, or Miss America's Teen. Then we'll take over that title, and then our first runner-ups would be crowned.
And when does Miss America and Miss America Teen, when does that take place?
December 31st to January 6th.
Wow, that's a great way to spend the New Year's.
Yeah, it is.
So-
And it's in Orlando this year, too. So we get to travel down to Florida in the midst of winter.
How rough. You got to sit
I
through
know,
that
it's
really
horrible.
warm,
It's
beautiful
horrible.
weather. Yeah.
But yeah, no, shameless plug. So Ella and I hold the title for a year, like she had just said. So if you want to book Miss Wisconsin or Miss Wisconsin's Teen, you can do so at misswisconsin.org, and you can find our booking links there. We'd be happy to go anywhere in the state.
MissWisconsin.org. And that's for
Yes.
both?
Yeah, for both of us. You can find us both on there.
That's great. And they can book you together if they like, right?
Absolutely. And we would
Yeah.
love to do things together too. And like we mentioned earlier, we're both dancers, so performing our talent, doing any sort of speaking, anything anyone has. We're very open-minded. We like to do a lot of different experiences, so
Sure,
whatever
sure.
you got for us.
What's the most unique speaking experience besides being on my show? No, that you've
right,
encountered
right.
here in your travels in your.
I'm not sure if this is unique, but I'd say my favorites are speaking at pageants and getting to talk about the things that I love and why I
Oh,
started
neat.
competing.
Oh, so like some of the local, like the county pageants and
Yes.
whatnot. Neat.
Yes.
I think speaking specifically, I did a presentation on my initiative on adoption at the Lacrosse Rotary. And the Lacrosse Rotary is huge. A lot
Sure.
of participants, a lot of people. That was a really special one for me,
Right.
just because it's very close to my heart. It's something that I could talk about for days if need be. So that one, I think, takes the cake on speaking.
That's right. And I'm glad you spoke about it, adoption, because I know that's a subject very near and dear to my heart. It's why is it so hard for people to adopt domestically? And it's and nothing against adopting overseas. It's just that those seem to be your only options. And even then, like China is supposedly the most viable option, but it has to be a girl. And
Yeah,
nothing wrong with girls
so
either. But
I'm
why
sure-
is it so pigeonholed and so darn expensive for couples desperately trying to have a family?
So there's definitely some soft spots with the process, some challenges that people face. I think a big misconception is that people generally think that adoption has to be expensive, and that's not necessarily true, especially when you look at the foster care system.
Yeah.
There are over 400,000 children in the foster care system right now, so many who are
Can you
eligible
say
to
that
be
number
adopted.
again? How many in
yeah,
the-
over 400,000 in the
Wow.
United States
I'm
alone.
surprised it's not more.
Right.
That
right?
actually seems low to me, but still, that's still a lot of kids.
it
One
is.
is too much.
One is too much. I couldn't agree more. And so many of those kids are eligible to be adopted. And I know in Wisconsin specifically, if you adopt a child through the foster care system, they have health insurance provided by the state. You receive a stipend for them living with you, like so many wonderful
Sure.
things that come from it. And it gives children a chance. I mean, that's the whole point of adoption. It builds families and it gives children a chance. And that's why I advocate for it. I do think that there are unfortunately some difficulties with the process, but the other
Terrible
thing about
difficulties.
adoption is that the laws are changing every single day.
Yeah.
And they vary state by state. They vary country by country. Like there's so many hoops that people have to jump through. That's a big reason why I want to go to
Sure.
law school, why I want to be a family lawyer, specialize in the adoption process to see
Right.
where I can try to help out in those soft spots. But yeah.
You know, and not to go too far down a rabbit hole, but like, you know, in this, there seems to be a lot of efforts to divide America and the way our campaign process, our political process works. And the abortion card, you know, I call it the orange card of American politics for those of you who are familiar with Irish politics or British politics. But I think there's so many bridges you can build with pro-life and pro-choice people coming together and making adoption affordable and accessible. Because, and again, I'm the youngest of 10 in an Irish Catholic family, so it's a you know, but I also respect women's rights, and especially not being a male, anyway. But what if we could make adoption affordable, accessible? What if we could, I mean, we talk about being a capitalist society. What if we could, I mean, it could be a positive business venture too, promoting adoption and getting away from the stigmas of anyone that's in an unfortunate situation of being a pregnant single woman or pregnant single teen, becoming a hero to these couples that struggle to have children of their own.
And being, of course, staying away from politics, but just speaking in regards to my brother's experience in their family's adoption, I can positively tell you that if it were not for adoption, my life would look completely different. And I'm just the aunt to an adoptive child.
Right,
I can only
right.
imagine what it's
Yeah.
like to be that parent or to be the
Sure.
adoptee. You know, it's so beautiful to just watch these children grow up in an environment where they are loved and they are supported. And I mean, the number one thing that adoption agencies look for when they are looking for people to adopt children is that they have the ability to provide them with a stable environment. It's not about how much money you make. It's not about how whatever other factors may come into play. It's just about your genuine ability to care for a child and provide them with this stable environment that they so desperately want and deserve.
Sure.
Sure. And so I think making adoption resources available to all types of families is something that I'm really trying to challenge throughout my year as Miss Wisconsin.
I love it. And now, Ella, with your cause involving people with special needs, and I'm imagining people with developmental disabilities, what are you finding what are some of the specifics of your work in that area?
Well, I've been volunteering within the special
Talk closer,
needs
sorry.
community for many years. especially since my younger sister was born. And I've realized that there's a lot of stereotypes and barriers between able bodied people and those dealing with disabilities. So I've made it my goal to help start it in my school that I can take students with me to go volunteer within a facility that deals with people with special needs.
I think that's terrific. So now, Denise, when you were competing, was there a root cause that you were supporting, or is there one now that you still continue to?
So when I competed, that aspect of it wasn't what it is now.
Sure.
When my daughter was Miss Wisconsin National Teenager, she advocated for literacy and reading.
Love
so She actually met the first lady back then.
Oh, and who was that?
Laura Bush.
Wow.
It was a big
And she was a librarian.
She was.
That's
And
right.
It started, my daughter was young.
Yeah.
She wrote Laura Bush a letter and said, hey, I like to read and you like to read. And
So
then Laura Bush called our house. It was crazy. So
if I could cut in real quick, because your
Sure.
timing's rather this is the season for Waukesha Reads. It's an NEA program that Larry Nelson adopted when he was mayor 14 years ago, and it continues. And Larry has me reading Mexican Gothic, and he's going to give a presentation on that at the Waukesha Public Library on October 21st. But there's a whole calendar of books. Check it out. Google the Waukesha Public Library. And basically, you get a book for free from the library, whatever your interest is. And then when you're done, lend it to somebody else. And then join the conversation that Larry Nelson, he's been doing this for years, that he'll be leading on October 21st at the library. So I'm so glad. Literacy is so important. Can I ask, are you guys reading anything right now?
Yes. I started the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I'm on the second book right now. I started the first book last week, and it's so good. I can't put it down. It's so good.
How about you, Ella?
I feel like every single month I reread the Twilight series.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
fantastic.
And then I just started
Sure.
a new book called The Bloom Girls.
The Bloom Girls. Wow. And I'm reading Mexican Gothic, which is part of the Waukesha. That's the book that county supervisor now, Larry Nelson, had lent me to take a look at. So, but we're going to talk more with the girls here in the as we approach the final segment and wrap a few things up. But it's really been a joy having them so far, and of course with Denise Watrous, Denise Watrous Photography here on WAUK 540 AM and the Civic Media app.
Waiting for a promotion.
Well, you
Don't
can-
you know? Talking about a revolution sounds a whisper. And finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Oh, no.
Higher taxes restricting abortion rights.
Talking about a revolution sounds whisper. Poor people gonna rise up.
Hey, we're back on This Week in Waukesha, and I wanted to shout out our resident legal expert here in the office of former Alderman Don Paul Brown, retired U.S. Attorney James Santel, whose show Amicus, or as I affectionately call Atticus, is on next. And James has graced myself and my guest with some pastries all the way from Glorioso's on Brady Street, and the ladies approve. I love that hand gesture you gave there, Mandy.
Oh, it was so good. Mm-hmm.
Love it. And Denise, you said this debunks another myth
I
about
think there's that old cliche that pageant girls don't eat.
I probably
Hey.
eat
She
5
was the
meals
first
a
one
day,
to dig in.
truthfully.
I think,
Yeah.
I don't see any pastry. I don't see any pastry left over there.
No.
Yeah.
I never do.
Fantastic. Yep, all three. Yep, they actually beat me. So hats off. And we were talking about reading, Denise, and I cut you off there. Just wanted
That's okay.
if you were finishing a point there.
I don't remember what I was saying. What was I
I
saying?
don't know, because we were talking about Waukesha reads, but that's the fact that another myth debunked, that these young women are avid readers on top of Ella having a busy academic schedule there at CMH, which we know has a great agenda there, or great program curriculum, excuse me.
Yes.
And with Mandi working on law school applications. And are you also working right now while you're applying to law school?
I am, yeah. So I also am a dance instructor. Kind of runs in the family.
Wow.
And my family's really supportive of my endeavors with Miss
And
Wisconsin as
where
well.
do you is it at Beaver Dam? Up
in
where you
Beaver
live?
Dam, and then I
Nice.
also teach in Portage and sometimes Berlin.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you travel.
I do, yeah.
I know those
but
aren't close
I love
together.
it.
Yeah.
They're
Oh, good.
not, but I feel like a 30-minute drive is so close for me now, because as Miss Wisconsin, like there's some days where I'm driving 5 hours one way.
Sure.
So 30 minutes is nothing.
Sure. So, and are you also working, Ella, on top of going to school and all the things you're doing?
Oh, no.
Just working as Miss Wisconsin teen.
Yes.
So now, if you win your national counterpart roles, you then vacate the Miss Wisconsin and Miss Wisconsin teen?
Yes, we do. So if we win the pageant, then our first runner-ups will take this
Oh, that's
title.
neat. So that's a great thing for them. So
Yes.
they're cheering very. They may have been cheering against you in the competition. Now they're like, "Go Mandi, go Ella."
Well, and I will say in the competition, everyone really is truly supportive. Like we spend an entire week together, and
Yeah.
we're going around and doing events together and having all these conversations together. We spend a lot of downtime together. So it's really hard to not like each other, because you learn so many things about one another, and you learn that these women are really incredible people. And so it's hard to not like
Sure.
them, you know?
Sure. Yeah, because I wonder, in a lot of like sporting events where there's a performing art aspect to it, like say figure skating, gymnastics, the judging does lend itself to certain aspects of subjectivity, and maybe even there's some politics. Unfortunately, is that still come into play in the pageant world?
I mean, potentially. I've just always said though, like if I need to bet on my competitor's downfall in order for me to be successful, I probably don't deserve the position.
Sure.
So I think in the end of it, we all really just try to help each other out the best we can. And at the end of the day, there may be like personal opinions that get taken into account. But I think the judges are given very clear lines as far as the criteria goes when looking for like the Miss or Teen title holder,
Okay.
to ensure that they're not letting their own bias get in the way of choosing the best representative.
It's not
Got it.
like those cliches that you see in movies where
Yeah.
people are trying to sabotage their
Right.
that
Like
doesn't-
miscongeniality.
People ask me that all the time. You work with so many pageant women. Do they catfight? Do they hate each other? Do they
Sure.
sabotage? No, no, not
Sure.
at all.
At least not in the Miss America opportunity, I will say.
True.
Definitely does not happen. No.
Sure. So in the few minutes we have left here, what would you like to raise awareness about or talk that we haven't talked about here in the show?
Wow, I don't know.
That is you're giving me a lot of opportunity here. Let me think
Yeah.
for a second.
Giving you some space here, Ella, while Mandi's thinking.
Well, while they think, I will
Yes.
say that for listeners in the Waukesha area, if you're interested in competing for the Miss Wisconsin title, Miss New Berlin and Miss West Dallas are holding information meetings. So if you're a teen or a young lady in the Waukesha area, you would qualify to compete for Miss New Berlin. So
Okay.
I'll put something up on my Instagram and my Facebook, so you can go to my page and
Okay.
find out about that. It's a preliminary competition to Miss Wisconsin.
Terrific.
I would just say, if you really wanted to compete, don't be afraid. It's such an amazing thing to be able to do, and the experience and the friendship you get out of it is amazing.
Terrific.
And I think I, kind of going off of both of those, want to take the opportunity to express my gratitude for the Miss Wisconsin organization, because what a lot of people don't know is that the Miss Wisconsin organization is made up of entirely volunteers. So Denise volunteers her time and her resources to photograph Ella and I. Quick Trip is a sponsor, volunteering materials so that we can be successful. All of these really wonderful people who are just pouring into us out of the kindness of their heart, because they want to and because they see opportunity in us us and want to throw their support behind us. And so even if you're interested in not necessarily competing, but you want to be involved in other ways, I urge you to become a sponsor, to become a volunteer with the program and get involved with it that way as well, because you see the work behind the scenes, I think, just as much as you do from being on the stage.
Sounds great. Ella Bey, Miss Wisconsin Teen. Mandi Genord, Miss Wisconsin. Denise Watrous of Denise Watrous Photography. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you for being great role models, all of you.
Having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck in the national competitions starting on December 31st. And thanks, everybody, for spending your Saturday morning with us. Don't forget, James Santel is on next with Amicus, a law review. Don't forget the Waukesha Farmers Market and the Oktoberfest. Please remember that safety is everybody's responsibility, and in this National Suicide Prevention Month, that to be kind to your mind and to call 988 if you're in crisis or know someone who is in crisis. Thanks again. Go Ramila Mahagav, and see ya!
A shoreline was never invaded. A country was never in flames. This is the calm we breathe. This is a feeling too strong to contain. Still it aches like tetanus. It reads of politics. Signature stained with tears.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.